So I want to talk to you about different grids of consciousness. This is something that's taken me a long time to sort of decode and to realize exists. So basically, when you plug in to different groups of people, different grids of consciousness become tuned into by you. So depending on what you're tuning into, you are sort of in a collective field. Really follow me with this. If you're tuning into light workers, empaths, star seeds, and way showers, then you're tuning into that frequency. Now, if you're turning into personal development junkies and success coaches, then you're tuning into that consciousness grid frequency. And if you're tuning into whatever the thing might be, whether it's science or religion or anything beyond and in between, you're tuning into that grid of consciousness frequency. And no matter what grid of consciousness frequency you tune into, you get to share a little bit of that vibratory essence. You kind of collapse and merge into that group, so to speak. So this is something that I've realized, and then once you realize it, you start to realize, okay, what grids of consciousness am I plugging into? And you can start to really sync up with the people who you vibrate with the people who you resonate with. And it can be an amazing experience. So I've done this many times in my life where I've almost like stopped watching or listening to podcasts or audiobooks by a lot of people. And then I just focus my energy on like one or two people who I super duper resonate with, and I tune into them every single day. And what I've started to notice happens is you'll almost like merge consciousness temporarily. You'll like tune into that grid. So I'll tell you a couple examples. I did this with Wim Hof at one point. I just ate up almost all of Wim Hof's content. I just like, I don't want to say binged it, but like basically like that was my main vein, and I was pulling from that every day. I love to do it with people who I really resonate with, people who I really vibrate with. Another one was I did it with David Blaine. If you ever look at David Blaine's Street Magic, he's just an interesting character. He's, done a couple world records and has an interesting energy about him. So I tuned into him back to back at one point and tuned into that grid of consciousness. And that's what's so amazing about grids of consciousness is they exist both as individuals and as collective grids. Sorry if I keep moving around. I'm literally like balancing on these, you can tell, these trees out here in nature. And so you can tune in to an individual grid of consciousness or a collective grid of consciousness. It's really just up to you and what you want to be tuning into in that moment. But this is just so key to be aware of, because if you're not aware, it's not like you're not tuning into grids of consciousness. You're already doing it. You're just unconscious. So what grids of consciousness are you tuning into? Which grids are you locked and loaded in with right now? And another question, are you tuning into too many grids? AKA your energy is being scattered by you're literally trying to keep up with like 100 different people. You're trying to tune into 100 different frequencies all at once. We're not really built to handle that. We can tune into a few people, maybe 10, and then beyond that, it starts to become chaotic in a sense. So are you tuning into too many people? Maybe you want to restrict your flow. If you really get value from somebody like me, maybe tune specifically into me every single, few days or whatever. And that way we can start to link up in that grid of consciousness. And all the people who I link up with in my grid of consciousness help form my grid. And then I can share that with you as you plug into me. You follow? So yeah, are you plugging into too many people? Are you aware who you're plugging into the grid of consciousness with? And one thing that's interesting is that sometimes, I've done this too, we tune into grids of consciousness that we don't even like. And it's like, why are we doing that? For instance, here's a funny example. I don't think I ever did this, but I know people who've done this, who do this. Atheists who tune into like various theists' grid of consciousness all the time just so they can get angry, frustrated, and like debate them in their mind. Or the same with creationists who tune into like Richard Dawkins and like Neil deGrasse Tyson, and they're just like, wow, why? They like argue in their mind with it. So are you tuning into things that you actually like and resonate with? Because sometimes that's what people do. We tune into things we don't even resonate with. We tune into things we don't even like because we want to play devil's advocate in our own mind. But our spirit, our intuition will lead the way. We don't have to tune into things we don't like. We don't have to tune into things we hate. I don't say hate, but are just like not getting any benefit from. Really ask yourself that. Am I getting benefit from this grid that I'm tuning into? And by benefit, I mean, like, is it wholesome? Is it good? Is it raising my vibration, helping me to love? Or is it doing the opposite? So that's what I wanted to talk to you about. Grids of consciousness. What are you tuning into? Which grids are you linking up with? Because as you tune into these grids of consciousness, they do affect you. Like, you can very much switch into a different state just by unplugging from a few grids, plugging into a few new grids. So like unfollow, unsubscribe from a few people, especially if it wasn't bringing you benefit, and redirect that energy to people who you do vibrate with. Within a few days, you'll feel completely different. It's amazing how these grids of consciousness work. What you're tuning into, what you're running through your system in terms of social fabric really can be a determining factor in the vibration that you carry. So this is huge. Don't underestimate this. Actually take some action if you really resonate with me here. Unplug from some people, unplug from some grids, maybe if they're not serving you, and plug into some grids that do serve you, or double down on the ones that are already giving you so much benefit. I hope that I can be one of those ones for you. I love you, and I'm out.